you work on more than one book at a time? I just would love to know about your research process and how that connects with the subject matter that you choose to write about.
I do work on more than one project at a time. And this because in the process of publication of any book, there are substantial periods where I can't do anything on it because somebody else is. Whether my editor in York is working on it, or it's gone out to copy editing, or it's gone to the typesetters, or whatever it might be. And so I try to make good use of the time, actually. I mean, the real reason I'm always on to the next project is that the closer any of my books gets to publication, the less I can bear to look at it. Because I've been doing this long enough to know that no book is published without errors of some sort. And these can be as simple as typographical errors. They can be howlers, mistakes of fact, the things that just make you cringe. And when, between the time that I turn in my last, first of all, I turn in sort of finished manuscript, and then I do the copy editing, and then I turn in the page proofs. There is a period when I don't even want to think about the book, because I'm reminded, there was a time when I was a kid, and I was tearing down a fence that ran around the house. And I was knocking down the fence, and there were nails that were sticking out of the boards that came out. And I was wearing a pair of tennis shoes much like the ones I have on tonight. And I stepped on a nail. And there was a split second between when I could feel the nail going through the sole of my shoe, and my weight was already on that foot. And I knew that it was going to be going into my foot pretty quickly. And so, but there was nothing I could do about it. And this is the image, and this is the feeling that I have when I send a book off to press. Because I know there's something...
If you're a wannabe writer...
Yeah. Well, because I know there's something wrong with it, I just haven't figured out what's wrong with it yet. Actually, I should say, the only books on which I don't know there are errors in them are books that nobody read. Because my readers are kind enough to inform me of my mistakes after the fact. So, I do have multiple projects underway for this reason. I consider myself, I sort of describe myself as a serial perfectionist, where I keep thinking, I know this book isn't perfect, but the next one will, which is why I have to get on to the next one. Now, in terms of the research process, my research begins with my teaching. I teach at UT, and my teaching is an integral part of the research that I do for books. So by the time I wrote about the Gilded Age, by the time I wrote about Jim Fisk and Josie Manfield, I had been lecturing about the Gilded Age, and about Josie and Jim and Jay Gould and the rest, for 20 years. So I have been circling the subject, and this applies to all of my subjects. By the time I got around to writing about Franklin Roosevelt, same thing. I've been talking about the New Deal. I've been thinking about the New Deal. I've been figuring out what the sources on the New Deal are and were. And so I had a pretty good idea of what the shape of the story was. And I didn't really have to think about that too much. It was then a matter of identifying what precisely my take would be and what aspect of the little history. I talked about the big history and the little history. I knew the big history. And then I had to figure out what the little history was. Now, I'm often asked, do I use research assistants? And the answer is no. I have used one research assistant in my career. And this was not really for my own benefit. My elder son, Hal, was 16 or 17 years old at the time. He had an elaborate explanation to me during this one particular summer of why he didn't have and couldn't get a regular summer job. And it justified, in his mind, his lying around on the sofa day after day. And I thought, this isn't acceptable. So I said, I'm going to hire you if nobody else will. And so I hired him to go do some research at the LBJ library. It was mostly to get him out of the house. And I thought, well, maybe something he discovered over there I find useful at some point in the future. He spent 2 weeks at the LBJ library and turned up nothing that was of use to me. But he thought, this is kind of interesting. So, in fact, he went on to become a historian. And I'm proud to say he teaches at Duke University today. So, anyhow.
Well, thanks.
Oh, here we have a... So, sorry,